Hey guys, what's up? Today we are going to be taking a look at the Anbernic RG40XXV. This is going to be a fairly casual first impressions video, so I'll try to keep it straight to the point. But first, a word from our sponsor.
What sponsors? You don't have any sponsors.
It comes in your pretty standard cardboard box. Let's take off the top here. On the inside, you have this cardboard placeholder thing that holds the entire device in place. The device itself is placed in this plastic bag. Let's get rid of that. Your standard printed user manual. I don't know if anyone reads these anymore. And USB A to C cable to charge the device. One of the things I wanted to mention here is that most Anbernic devices, including this one, don't charge with fast chargers or USB C to C cables. You're going to want to carry one of these USB A to C cables like the one provided here. Before we get into the hardware, let's take a quick look at the specs of the device. So the screen is a 4-inch IPS display with a 4:3 aspect ratio that's going to work out pretty well for most retro systems. The processor is an H700, which Anbernic uses for all of their XX lineup of devices, and this should be good for up to PS1 games. The GPU and RAM are pretty standard for handhelds of this caliber and this price range, but what really impressed me was the inclusion of Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. This essentially means you can now use your wireless earbuds or an Xbox controller with this handheld. Getting to the device itself, the device has such a clean design language, kind of makes it look like the analog pocket. One of the things I really like about this display is that it's almost completely bezel-less. The screen stretches from side to side. Now, starting from the top, you have the mini HDMI port and your charging and device status LEDs. Switching to the right side, you have your power button, your reset button, and your micro SD extension, which is the second micro SD card slot. On the left side of the device, you have your volume rockers and you have the primary micro SD, which holds the OS, and the charging port and the audio jack at the bottom. The whole device has this nice grippy texture. Let me see if you can hear it. Additionally, you have these 3 grips at the back, which makes it really comfortable to hold. The shoulder buttons at the back have this really nice concave shape to them. And the buttons are clicky, not squishy. The beautiful face buttons are the same color as the body but have a different texture. They have a glossy texture as opposed to the matte texture of the device itself. The face buttons are not clicky, they're squishy rubber membrane buttons with just the right amount of feedback. The D-pad is also rubber membrane, but it does take a bit of a push. And then there's the Nintendo Switch style analog stick with the RGB on the sides. It's not the most comfortable analog stick, but it gets the job done. And it does have the L3 click. On the right side, you have a front-facing speaker, which is also pretty good. Coming from the previous models, I think Anbernic's stock OS has matured a lot. This device supports everything up to the PSP, although the PSP is nearly unplayable. We'll talk more about it later. As for the OS itself, I do think it's matured quite a bit and should fit the needs of most people. You have your basics along with your favorites list, recent games list. And one of the features I really appreciate in the stock OS that seems to be missing from a couple of custom OSs is the search function. The sleep function in the device has also matured a lot and works very well. Anbernic also put these really nice overlays that change depending on the system you're using. See right here on the screen, Nintendo, and then Game Boy Advance at the bottom. These borders really add something to the entire experience. The display on the RG40XXV is something else. The 0.5 inches of screen real estate you get over the 35XX makes a huge difference. Game Boy Advance especially has been an absolute blast on the system. Performance is smooth, the screen looks absolutely beautiful. Dreamcast has also been a pretty smooth sailing experience with smooth gameplay and the analog stick feeling just right. Everything up to the PlayStation 1 has been very, very smooth sailing. But even though the OS shows you PSP, let me tell you right now, you're not playing PSP games on this one. Well, you know, unless you like playing games at 14 FPS.
Despite the way it looks, this is not a handheld for your pockets. This one is going straight to the backpack. So personally, I really like this handheld. This is definitely the retro handheld that's staying in my backpack with my Steam Deck. But what if you're someone who is just getting into the retro handheld scene? Then I say this is the handheld for you. But what about a different scenario? What if you're someone like me who's coming from one of those 3.5-inch handhelds like the Mio Mini Plus or the RG35XX Plus? Personally, I'd say that 0.5 inches of screen real estate adds a lot to your retro gaming experience. But if you're someone who is looking to play PS2 or GameCube games, you'd need something more powerful. This is not the handheld for you. Thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you in the next video. So, you've reached the end of the video, and yet you haven't subscribed. What's wrong with you? Subscribe now.